It's abundantly clear that the developers of Battlefield 2042 are having a really hard time keeping up with just how many issues there are with this game and how those issues seem to keep piling up. And they're just not able to work on new content because they're stuck on fixing the game and adding back basic features like voice chat and, a scoreboard. And the consequences of Battlefield 2042's failure are felt more and more each day, with the 24-hour peak seemingly diminishing every time I look at it. And the difference between the 24-hour peak of 2042 and Battlefield 5 and 1 even getting wider and wider. Looking at Battlefield 5, a 30,571 24-hour peak, the highest I've seen it yet in recent months. And then beyond that, you've got Battlefield 1, which is also doing fairly well at 12,255 24-hour peak, which is the highest I've seen it since 2042's launch. Reviews continue to be overwhelmingly negative, with recent reviews only being at 16% positive. And this is all following a host of issues like zombie survival having to be pulled immediately after launch because of XP farming issues. You've got situations like players false positively getting banned for using RGB software like Logitech G-Hub and whatnot. You've got streams that went disastrously, sponsored streams like this Crown Arcade one, where it was harder to keep track of who got the most kills because there's no scoreboard. And beyond that, there was one point towards the end of the stream where players got stuck underneath the staircase here, all further exacerbated by key delays like Season 1 getting delayed from March to summer. March is already late enough as it is. Summer is just way too little too late. People also don't believe that there's much of a future for Battlefield 2042, and it seems more and more clear that the Battlefield franchise is going to become less of a high priority for EA. EA did relay earlier this month that Battlefield 2042 did not meet sales expectations, and they've lowered their expectations surrounding this franchise, as tweeted here by Tom Henderson. Battlefield will account for less than 10% of net bookings and less than 5% of next year. An analyst told me 2 weeks ago that EA doesn't look at Battlefield as a crucial franchise to the company's success. Looks like he was right. And then the fact that expectations surrounding Battlefield have been lowered this much has Tom Henderson thinking that, you'd expect a higher net booking prediction if they plan to do more with Battlefield 2042. It just proves that they don't have long-term plans for Battlefield 2042. Now, something that I haven't covered in previous videos is a former DICE employee and developer who spoke about how Battlefield is being treated by EA. Basically, a retweet of biggest takeaway from EA earnings: Battlefield is no longer the flagship shooter in its portfolio. David Goldfarb had this to say in response: "This is profoundly depressing, and as ex-DICE, it hurts to watch. And for many members of the Battlefield community, as ex-fan, this all hurts to behold, to be a part of, to watch, to experience." That EA and DICE seemingly have not learned from their past mistakes. If anything, they've regressed even worse. Another new development is the release of update 1.08, which rolled out this February 3rd. This is something that was further detailed in Battlefield Direct Communications' official Twitter page via a post that says, "We have just made a small Battlefield 2042 hotfix available across all platforms to address areas of game instability that we have noticed after the release of update 3.2. Unfortunately, videos uploaded after the patch's release would show that stability is the last word you should use to describe this game, but we'll get to that in a bit. Alongside this hotfix release, it was relayed by Battlefield Direct Communication that our next update after today's hotfix will now roll out in early March. And the thing is, this is the patch that was supposed to include the addition of the scoreboard. So basically, the scoreboard, the legacy feature, as DICE and EA like to call it, has been delayed till March. This is a change from our last messaging to you all on its intended release. The extra time will help us ensure we improve the quality of our updates and include additional changes. It's bad enough that Battlefield 2042 launched without a scoreboard of all features, and that it's been months and still no scoreboard, but the fact that we have to wait even longer is just not a good look for a game that launched broken, incomplete, lacking in features, with downgraded features. And I'm not saying that I necessarily disagree with the delay. If it helps refine the patch, then I'm all for it. But it's more difficult to tolerate delays post-launch when the launch of the game itself should have clearly been delayed, and the decision makers decided not to, and it's paved the road for people paying full price, $60, $70, $100, however much they paid for whatever edition, on something that just doesn't work on day one and that people have to wait months until it works properly. And by then, it's probably going to be a dead live service because players are leaving in droves. The decision makers couldn't bother to delay a game that clearly needed more time in the oven. It was obvious during the beta. A beta that close to launch tends to be closely representative of the final experience. And we've been on this road before with Anthem, with Fallout 76, with Marvel's Avengers, and it's the same deal with Battlefield 2042. And now we're basically going through the motions again of them trying to salvage whatever they can, but it looking like a pretty dire and hopeless situation. It should come as no surprise that this delay made plenty of headlines, given just how ridiculous this whole situation is of a Battlefield game not only not launching with a scoreboard, but it taking so long to actually implement a scoreboard. And I'm not saying that adding a scoreboard in a game that didn't initially have one is just like a snap of the finger. I'm sure there are more complexities in the development of a scoreboard than people give it credit for, but it's inexcusable that Battlefield launched without a scoreboard at all, and so it just makes people all the more impatient for a game that has more than once tested the patience of the community and tested it savagely. So yeah, you're seeing headlines from outlets like Polygon, Battlefield 2042 scoreboard hotfix delayed to March. Another delay hits EA's latest shooter. You've got Video Games Chronicle, Battlefield 2042's next update, which will include a refreshed scoreboard, delayed to March. DICE wants more time to fix the game before it starts fixing the game. Keep a pen and notepad close for the time being. And oh yeah, you bet your ass that a furious and disillusioned Reddit caught on to this. LMAO, the scoreboard update scheduled for mid-February, has been delayed even further. This can't get funnier. I'm crying. And scrolling down, you'll find people just mocking this whole situation, both laughing and crying inside. You have to laugh to stop yourself from crying. The absolute state of DICE. Holy F. Some people still poking fun at the whole brutal expectations statement from a community manager who basically said, hey, whoa, you're expecting way too much out of us, especially when it's the holidays, which on some level I get what he's saying, but to say that expecting a game to work properly, a game that you paid, $60, $70, $100+ for, to label that a brutal expectation was not something that went down very well. And so people are saying your statement is brutal, they can't handle it. People just noting how sad this whole situation is, can't even fix a scoreboard. This is sad. The feature was so legacy that they actually fired everyone who was able to program a scoreboard. Some people baffled that they'll have to wait another month for such a basic feature. Wait, we need to wait another month for the next update? What the hell? I don't even know what to say. And plenty of people just laughing at the situation. This is absolutely hilarious. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really enjoying the clown show. If they do anything right, I'm gonna be disappointed because it won't be as funny. In a way, DICE, you failed your task successfully in my eyes, etc., etc. Refunds now. Refunds is something that a lot of people have been pushing for. No questions asked. Refunds. If you bought a chair and all of the legs weren't matched evenly and so it wobbles all over the place and it's just not a good and functional chair, you return it and want your money back. Same thing with a video game. If it doesn't work as intended at launch, people should get their money back. But the day EA decides to give refunds knowing it's the morally correct decision to make is the day that pigs fly. It has just been a shit show, to put it lightly. We need to accept it's dead. That's another thing. People are not only deeming Battlefield 2042 to be dead, but they don't see the Battlefield franchise making a recovery from this, especially with EA making Battlefield less of a priority for EA's future financial success. It just feels like Battlefield will never achieve the glory days that it once did. To close things off, here we have footage showing what the state of Battlefield 2042 is like currently, even after the release of the latest patch. The stability of Battlefield 2042 is very shaky, or at times outright non-existent, with Tom Henderson, who's been an industry insider, who's been keeping the community updated on behind-the-scenes goings-ons surrounding this game and, what the internal discussion has been like surrounding this title. He booted up the game, played it, and it crashed on him many times in a row during a stream, and it's just been more of an instigator of mockery against Battlefield 2042. You can see the footage right here of Tom Henderson just laughing his butt off, just seeing the state of things.
No, we've not quite above it. Please do not tell me the game's just crashed.
Yeah.
Oh, shit!
And keep in mind, this didn't happen once, it happened a number of times. Another Reddit post noted how Tom Henderson is streaming 2042 on YouTube. It's crashed 4 times within 5 minutes. And then scrolling further down, there is an updated number with people saying 10 crashes in a row, not that bad. What are you expecting? We can't possibly have it working 100% of the time. That would be brutal. Dice. 10 times in a row now, 16 times the detail. Whoops, wrong game. Tom Henderson especially has been outspoken about how poor the state of Battlefield 2042 has been, calling out the BS surrounding this game. And he's the last person you want to have experience these kinds of issues, especially given that much of the community follows his reporting on Battlefield 2042. For him to come out with a video like this is especially a bad look. But also highlights the experience across the board for so many people. These issues are widespread enough that many people can relate. I'll say again, while EA continues to insist that they're going to keep working on Battlefield 2042, that they're committed to its long-term future as a live service, they said the same thing about Anthem. They said the same thing about Battlefront 2. They said the same thing about Battlefield 5. And with Battlefield 2042 having launched either about as bad as some of those games or worse than some of those games, it's hard to imagine that its fate will be any different. I mean, if EA didn't deem Battlefield 5 worth sticking for the long term, a game that launched incredibly roughly and never fully came back, didn't fulfill all of its content promises, what makes you think that they'll be more dedicated about Battlefield 2042, which is in a worse state than that game was? Given EA's past history, I think it'd be foolish to hold out hope for Battlefield 2042, but you know, if EA and DICE somehow can prove me wrong and make a comeback and somehow salvage this and make a miraculous return, then, I mean, hey, people will be happy about that. That'd be the ideal outcome. But do I expect that to happen? Hell no. But I guess only time will tell. I cannot say for sure. But until we learn more about the state and fate of Battlefield 2042 and the Battlefield franchise, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the latest development, what your experience has been like with the game, and what your expectations are for its future. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.